So I'm not gonna lie, I'm coming around a little later than I usually should be, but I'm not gonna lie, it's later than I should be anyways. So with that, my name is Pet Scorpion, and welcome to the Reset. Now, just like the usual, with the end of the season, I'm going to keep bundling Eververse and Reset into one, at least until holiday season ends and work isn't so crazy. And before you ask, no, I don't work in retail, I just provide food for people. So, that being said, getting into the Reset itself. Now, going about the world, we got a few things going on. So currently it is the aforementioned Iron Banner week that I never figured out when it was going to happen just because I kept knowing it wasn't here yet. So that being said, this is your last chance this season to get your hands on either Allied Demand or Roar the Bear, freshly back this season. Both of them restored, one from year 2, one from year 1 if I recall. And of course all of them with their new perk, Skulking Wolf, which if I recall this season got reworked, that basically... final blows while at low health will give you boosted radar and remove you from enemy radars, basically giving you a little bit of stealth opportunity. But aside from that, you know, it's usual Iron Banner rep system, seasonal quest challenges as the week goes on. Apparently wearing Iron Banner armor will give you boosted reps, so there's that as well. Now, going into the main part of the rest of the world, so... Well, as usual with the boosted Iron Banner, there is boosted Valor currently, and while we're here, we do have momentum control available for our rotator game mode. So if you feel like one-tapping people with a Wish Ender and just memeing, you can go ahead and do that. But aside from that, into our strikes. So for our GM this week, we have the Glassway. So this is probably one of the toughest of all the strikes available. Currently this season, it's like Glassway and Light Blade are fighting each other for the hardest strike in, you know, the GM rotation. But basically, Arachno for Fallen Vandal spawning web mines, Overload and Barrier Champion because both Vex and Fallen, Chav for no radar, Grandmaster modifiers of the usual match game, equipment log, extinguished limited revives, and mob champions. All 3 shields throughout the strike and acute void burn. Which... this burn makes it easy all the way into the final boss where it is quite hell. You know, 4 barrier champions at once, 2 overloads as well as wyverns, plus the Transcendent Hydra just hanging out all game, and Belmont literally wrecking you on sight. So that's a rough one, but if you actually manage to prevail, it's currently Adept DFA, which, if I can recall based on the week cycle, this might be the last chance to actually get your hands on Adept DFA this month, and I should say this season, and I'm not sure what is actually rotating at the end of the season, so it possibly could be the last time we can get it for a while. Like I said, I don't know for sure what's rotating. I know it was recently said at some point what is rotating in and out of the the ritual playlists, but I don't remember, so I'd just, you know, if you want it, get it while you can. And per the usual, nothing new with Gambit, and we already touched Crucible, so into the Legends content. So, for the King's Fall raid, for our Rotator Challenge, it is under construction, which if I recall is, I think it was Golgoroth last week, which, you know, by deduction, it is Daughters this week, and I forget what that challenge is. But on Master Mode is currently Strength-focused armor for Master Mode King's Fall as well, if you seek to farm it. Now, in terms of the rest of the world, let's see, the dungeon is currently the Shadow Throne for the Pinnacle, and the raid, let's see, is Deep Stone Crypt this week. So if anyone wants to go for Eyes of Tomorrow, farm Tanix, now would be the time to do it. Otherwise, just going for any other weapons, a God Roll Commemoration, Succession, the Heritage, anything of those. All worth getting a good roll on. But... aside from the weekly rotators into the throne world, now for Vow of the Disciple, we do have a Defenses Down challenge, which is, third encounter challenge, so you might want to skip it unless you're really determined on doing it. And for the weekly rotation mission, the Communion, which is the mission where you go into the Europa Pyramid on Europa. So, you know, if that's what you want to farm for, then there's that. Now, into Dares of Eternity for our Legends rotation. Let's see. For Legend mode, to farm out your red borders, Hive, Vex, and Ballista Auric for that. And for the rest of the world. Now, I would say for Vault of Glass, what challenge is, but, you know, it's Ensemble's Refrain, which is Auric's challenge. But at the same time, per the usual, because no Master, you cannot get hands on Corrective Measure time lost. So... with that, into the seasonal rotations. Now, for our Cosmodrome is Legendary Cyrus Battleground. For Catch Crash, it is currently Ransax, which is, if I remember, is the Captain instead of the Vandal, because I think the thing reset a week early, so it is back on week number 2, so it's the captain that goes in and out during the ending fight. Aside from that, like I mentioned in a bunch of previous resets, we don't have any more weekly challenges. Those are done for the year, or done for the season, excuse me. So if you wish to actually solve those, I would recommend you just finish up what is left and make do with what you can. And aside from that, that is pretty much everything reset, aside from Banshee, and then after that we shall go into Eververse. Now, with Banshee this week, still holding that Telesto there, hope it doesn't take over the world again. We have Ragnhild D. Ensemble Frenzy is not terrible roll. Appendage Mag, Tac Mag, Rifle Barrel, both good options. Handling Masterwork's pretty meh, but at the same time, this is a craftable weapon, so I'd much rather just folks craft it if they want a good one out of it. Boudica C, a precision frame Hawkeye sidearms. So, almost the same thing. These have good rolls that can roll around, but this one cannot be crafted for some reason. So, you know, if you want a good roll, I would recommend crafting it. A hipfire grip could be good for sidearms to keep the spam and hipfire, you know. But at the same time, there's some better rolls around. Then Ogma PR6, a Amalon pulse rifle, another good one that is... It's weird. This is a Crucible one, but at the same time, I've been seeing people rock it in PvE pretty well. But, you know, Wellspring stats for all, not a terrible roll. Better mag perks are available, but, you know, Amalon, so it's a little bit better in Crucible flat out. Same thing with Emmett. The base perks are pretty good. Now, this is a good roll. Corkscrew for bonus stats, Armor Piercing for the barrier buff, Sway for reduced sway, and a Pugilist for regen. Although, at the same time, this one is craftable. Same thing with the next one. If you want a good roll of this, just make it yourself. Same with Palmyra. Although this roll isn't something I'd recommend at all. Like I said, it can be crafted. Good rolls can come out of a Palmyra. And then Typhon, a regular appearance at Bansh's Gun Shop, so many times that I don't even think I need to say anything, but for those that don't know, Stasis Grenade Launcher, there's many great rolls, can't be crafted, but there's many great rolls you can get, although Amalon isn't great for it. Now, at the same time, into Eververse, that's pretty much everything reset, like boosted Crucible, Iron Banner, Last of the Season, last chance for some stuff, but... Speaking of last chance, now, on the front page, for some Bright Dust, we have Amethyst Bloom, a shader from Siege of the Hunt, a very sparkly purple one. And then we also have a Splicer Gauntlet projection from Season of the Splicer, which is, you know, Splicer Gauntlet, and a Ghost projection. Then we also have Scene Clapper, which is an emote from this season, where on command you know, clap a scene, start the movie. And then at the same time, from Season of the Worthy, the Nucleus Shell, which is, I gotta admit, this is a pretty... crazy looking one, but kind of lacking direction. I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, it looks cool, but at the same time, it's just kind of balls on balls. But into the main Bright Dust store, going through the bottom to top, we have Flafito Core, a shader we regularly see more yellows and greens. Doesn't look half bad on some guns. Armor doesn't look half bad, but then, you know, it's yellow. Then we also have Chrome Stock from Season of the Drifter, which is basically, you know, some chrome, some blues, not as much chrome as it would suggest, considering chrome's in the name. Then we also have First Light from Season of the Opulent, Season of the Callous, or Penumbra, which is a weird one. It's kind of like a callous purple oil look, but at the same time, you know, weird. And then lastly, we have Meditator from last season, Season of the Haunted, actually no, the Season of the Risen, excuse me, which is generally, you know, it seems to be a dark tone with some purple highlights around. Or that's pink, excuse me. Now into Transmats, we have Eldritch Effects, which is you popping out of a Hive Crusher thingy. Then Nightmare Effects, where you spawn out of a Nightmare Pulse. And Cabal Shield Breaker, where you know, I would say pop out of a shield, but I don't see any shield, just Cabal stuff. Now, into the main items of the Bright Dust store. For an exotic emote, we have Gong Show, which is new this season, which I forget if this actually makes noise at all, but at the same time, I'm not sure if anyone actually wants that one per se. And for another emote, we have Coiffure Correction, which I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but you know, it's a hairspray emote for all of that hair my Titan has. Then we also have the Additive Shell from this season, which is kind of a 3D printed or a solar set, if I can recall what this is. I think 3D printed carbon is like the set. I have to just remember what it is. And then we also have Chelserite Visitor, which if I recall is a Jellyfish, I know there was like a bioluminescent animal thing. I can't tell if this is jellyfish, horseshoe crab, or something else, but this is a part of another Bright Dust set. Then, from Season 15, we have Junkyard Navigator, a ship which definitely looks like it is from a junkyard with many parts barely holding on. And one of the last items, we have Mooseful Populux, which is... It's hard to say if this is themed at all, but it does look pretty clean for Jotun. It seems like a glow up or a little shiny from the original, but, you know, I do think there's still others that I think look a little bit better. And lastly, as usual, a projection, the Rasputin projection from Season 10. And with that, that is everything. And the reset, the season's starting to wind down. I think we got a month left at most before the last season, before Lightfall. So I'd recommend if anyone wants to get into the season, there's no more events. Once Iron Banner done, it's pretty much just what's left of the season, so I recommend folks get on their horse, get stuff done while you can. Same thing with Bright Dust. If there's anything in there that you want, I'd recommend you get it now because, of course, in a few seasons, let me put it this way. The gear that's available for purchase with Silver will go away until Lightfall. Like, they won't enter the archive until Lightfall, so it's going to be an entirely random chance for something to come back. If you want it, get it while you can. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.